So where are we at? Well, I have my measurements. I know it's going to be 9 inches high. If yours 9.5 or 10 inches, that's fine, right? And if it's supposed to be 9. This your first time doing a vase, but just keep to approximates. I know that at about 3 inches high, that's going to be my widest point, and I need it to be 7 inches. So keep your template and keep your picture in front of you so you know where you're going. Now, this is about 3 inches high, and like my measurement, it's 7 inches wide. As I was approaching 3 inches, it wasn't quite 7 inches. So then I shifted my hand from being straight up and down to out, and I was just going around it, pressing out a little bit. But I also have to watch this curve down here so that it matches this curve. So that's the purpose of your template. And make sure that you're checking that out. Do you have that curve on there? Now, one of the other problems is how do you get rid of all your little finger marks and things? One is to just take your rib and smooth that gently. You have to be careful or you can push this very lopsided, right? Your outside, there has to be an outside hand on this. And I'm just smoothing that out. If there's a lot of bumps, that's why we talked about the serrated rib as one of your tools. It's counterintuitive. You're going to scratch it up, but it moves little bits of clay around. And then you're going to smooth it out. Now, if you don't have the serrated rib, it costs about $3, but you have to get it, right? You can just scratch it up with your fork lightly. It just creates little bits of clay that then you can come back around. Don't try, if it needs to come out an inch, don't do an inch and then move it and do another inch. You're doing little bits. If nothing's happening, do a little bit more. It's a lot of little bits. Also notice that I'm working outside again. It's about 95 degrees. It's really hot. So I just took some paper towel, but it could have been newspaper or paper or rag, and I put that right on top. Notice that this isn't dripping wet down here, right? You don't want dripping wet. You can also smooth that out with a damp sponge, but don't make it so wet that your work starts to collapse. As you're adding coils, you need this to start to be leather hard, not squishy wet. I like to use a variety of things. It's rare that I'm ever just using one thing. But now is the time to go to the widest part and create that widest part. And you don't just want it to be 7 inches one place or whatever your measurement is. It needs to be that all the way around, right? And that's the purpose of working little bits at a time. Okay, so at 3 inches, it's 7 inches wide. I'm going to go straight up a little bit and then I'm going to go straight up a little bit on this next coil, and then I'm gently curving in. And at the top, that's going to be a total of 4 inches. 2 inches on each side is a total of 4. So I'm going to take this paper off. If this is lumpy bumpy, you can cut it with your knife. You can cut it with your needle tool. And then once again, remember, You do not want this to be paper thin anywhere. You're looking for it to be about the size of your pinky nail, somewhere in there. And then just go ahead and scratch that up. Slip score, so I'm scoring. I had this damp paper towel on there, so I don't need to add a ton of slip, but I am working outside and it is very hot and dry. So I'm just gonna gently go around that again and add another coil. I prepped this coil, but I kept it under plastic. You cannot use coils that have dried up. They'll crack on you. It'll be a mess. So I'm laying this pretty straight on top. I'm pushing my clay from my coil down into the pot. Inside and outside. And make sure that you're looking at it from all angles. I'm picking this up for you, but you can just get down on the ground and look at it, right? Make sure that that is having a nice shape. If it's getting dry, spray it with water. And then once I've added that coil on there, I'm gonna compress with my rib. This is a little thin right in here. I'm going to scratch that up a little bit and add a bit more clay while it's nice and soft. Like a little coil that I'm going to blend right in that weak spot. So if you have any weak spots, now's the time to fix that. And then make sure you compress it really well, or it'll pop off in the kiln. You'll see all your building mistakes in the kiln. Heat at 2,250 degrees will show all your flaws. It's not at this point, I'm just trying to build a little bit, and I'm not that concerned with having it be perfect yet. It's a little bit too flimsy. It's a little bit thin right there. I'm going to add a little bit of clay, scratch that up. Compress that, gentle patting. It's kittens and puppies still. If you can get a serrated rib, I think they're really worth it for this project. Otherwise, try a comb. It's just like a serrated rib. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. You know, be checking your form. Is it looking nice on the outside? Does it have a nice shape? You have to, you're not just focused on building up, but you're also focused on that shape. If you go too fast, it'll collapse on you, right? How tall am I now? Okay, almost 5 inches here. So I want this coil to start coming in a little bit because my shape, I'm right about here, so I need to be coming in. So when I add this coil, I need to change the direction where it's going. It's not going to be straight on top. It's going to be in a little bit. What do I mean by that? Rather than, oops, let me adjust this. Rather than straight on top, it's going to be in a little bit from the edge here because that just helps me with the direction. And I need to watch my hands. If I go out like this, my vase is going to go out, and at this point I want it to go in, so my hands are in. I think you can see that right on this edge maybe. If you're squeezing along and your hands are like this, just little squeezes are actually best. And you'll make sure you're squeezing everywhere. But I also just like to use my thumb like this. And then again, the next, that next coil, before I put my next coil on, I'm going to check the shape. How is it doing? It's doing pretty well. Here's my template. It's doing really well. And that next coil is going to come in, not out, in and not on top, because I need to be going in at this point. Oh, I didn't slip and score that. You get the idea. Okay.